Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on REPA Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anapwe. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to lift the restrictions placed on the Osun State government's accounts just days before the August 15 governorship election. The account had been frozen amid an investigation triggering accusations from the opposition that the action could disrupt the finances of the state and potentially influence the electoral process. The president's intervention has now raised fresh questions. Was the EFCC's action justified by an ongoing investigation? Should a state government's account be restricted so close to an election? And does the president's directive strengthen the argument that anti-corruption agencies must be allowed to operate independently? Also on Thursday, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, that's ICPC, submitted an interim report to President Bola Tinubu on his investigations into the controversial Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, also referred to as the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council. The report found that the purported council was not established by law or any valid government instrument, and that documents used by its promoter, Adeniyi Adeyemi, were forged. The ICPC also said it found no evidence of federal funds being released to the fake agency and clears the presidency of direct involvement. However, the commission identified weaknesses within several government institutions that allowed the fictitious body to operate, recommended prosecution of Adeyemi and anybody that may have been his collaborator. We will dwell on these two developments today on Political Platform. We'll be joined by Awar Rafsanjani, Head of Transparency International Nigeria. He will provide perspectives on these two controversial developments. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
As usual, my colleagues are here with me, Uju Ejei and Adebayo Bodore. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We welcome our viewers and listeners.
We start with the presidential directive on the EFCC. It's not too frequent for a president to personally sign statements, and the president personally, using that red pen, signed that statement he issued yesterday. Key facts are bare. He said the EFCC's action was not illegal, but he has every grouse with the timing. So close to an election. And he says, when it's so close to an election, it comes with grave implications, especially the way people interpret this. And he raised one issue about the action of federal agencies. He said many of the actions they take, he's not even aware of them, but the repercussions get back to him. Is it telling us a very strange thing that many people within government circles use his name to achieve some pecuniary interest?
I do not see it that way. If I may start with the one of the EFCC freezing the account of the Osun State government, he said it was embarrassing to him. And truly it was embarrassing, not just to the president, but to every right-thinking Nigerian. Like the president noted, yes, it's a statutory duty they can do. They have their mandate. They can do all of that. But you don't do it in a way that raises a lot of negative questions. I believe that they saw the reaction, the backlash, and that made the president to act immediately. And I think that his action was timely in the face of the development. So we give that to him. And the EFCC and other agencies should also be careful, because some of these people may want to try to please the master when he's not even looking out for it, like coming to the second one. He said some of the agencies, he doesn't know. Well, for me, I mean, they are all agencies of government, every man carrying out his own duties, fulfilling his own mandate. He doesn't have to know everything. If he has to know everything, then his head will bust.
Well, what he's insinuating is that actions are taken in his name.
In his name, yes, okay, fine.
So what they do is that perhaps it tells so much about those around the president. Because if the president, Adebayo Bodore, issues a directive to heads of agencies or what have you, rarely are those communications directly conveyed. It has to come through someone. So those around the president do take advantage. They will reach you and tell you the president has directed.
It has always been like that.
Has
Even in
directed-
normal offices, we have such things happening.
That's what the president is saying.
Well, let me tell a small story within minutes. The former Oba of Benin placed a course on a journalist. And the guy was so worried because he is from Benin and he believed that the course may do damage to him. So he rushed to the National Secretariat of Nigeria Union of Journalists. He was terribly moved. And then we decided that, let's raise a delegation to go to Benin.
And placate the Oba.
No, to go to Benin. First and foremost, led by the president of NUJ then, Mohammed Sani Zoro. And when we got there, he said he doesn't have any invitation. We don't have an invitation. He didn't send an invitation to us, and we did not see for any reason. So we pleaded with him that he's our permanent secretary, because he was permanent secretary of the Ministry of Information when he was made the Oba of Benin. And what was the issue? One of his chiefs told him a story that journalist hated him, and Oba of Benin.
Been writing negative.
Yes, the writing negative. Not knowing that it was that particular chief that was using the journalists, releasing information to him, some of them falsehood. And then the guy realized that what was being used, so he stopped. So he reported him to the Oba of Benin. And Oba of Benin now called the chief. These journalists have come, they say, what you told me is a lie. He couldn't talk. He was tongue-tied.
Okay.
And Oba of Benin made one statement. He said, a leader must not just listen to one side, it must listen to all sides, and he on his own must seek for information on everything that is happening.
Including from the gods of the land.
Why am I still narrating this? Is that our leaders must not listen to a single narrative. They must listen to all narrations. And then they should take pains to read all memos, all letters, or everything sent to them. At least in that regard, you will praise President Olusegun Obasanjo. You can never do anything.
But how much can a leader without delegating? They say the best leaders are those that delegate
if
more.
If he does not monitor closely those who are around him, they will be dropping his name, and they will use it for good and for bad things.
Does the problem not start with the nature and quality of people you put around you? If you put statesmen, patrons, those that share your values, then you can go to sleep and delegate.
Or those who have the interest of Nigerians
at heart. When you put the wrong people around you, the thing gets back to you, because we always hear about this cliche, those around the president that are bad people. The president is a good person. But I would say the president should take the stick. If you put the right people without any primordial consideration, the best brains are around you, you can just be lounging while they're doing your work for you.
The best thing he can do is that he should give a very loud order. Don't use my name for anything without my knowledge.
Exactly.
I think that will save the situation.
Okay.
They are dropping names.
Let's come to our guest.
I think that would help. But again, every president, every person in authority should be mindful of the people that you put around you to work with you.
Awar Rafsanjani, let's get here. Very interesting scenario. It's a big presidency, as it were.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians. From the perspective of civil society fighting corruption, ensuring that we have institutional responsiveness, I think the whole drama is uncalled for. EFCC acted based on its mandates. It didn't go outside the mandate that it has to do this. What has happened is that sometimes you have overlapping authorities and even the laws itself. At the same time, what we are seeing is actually politicization and personalization of public institutions. Why am I saying this? Ideally, public institutions like EFCC is supposed to be independent, guided based on the law establishing it, and working to make sure that it is in the overall interest of Nigerian people. When you begin to see this kind of directive coming, is very demoralizing, very discouraging, totally politicization of it. The president does not need to come out to give that instruction. Even if there are issues, there are better channels that EFCC can be, asked to explain or to, for example, the Minister of Justice. EFCC is under the supervision of that. Why should the president come out openly to talk on this matter?
Is it that he was under immense pressure that everything was
that is why I'm telling you. That is why I'm telling you.
Behind this, and he needed to extricate himself.
It is political. Now, some people who then understand this, they will now say, "Oh, the president is good. He's protecting federalism. He's protecting democracy." But at the same time, the incredible damage done to the institution itself, because you are trying to remove moral courage for the institution, for the agency, to do what they are mandated to do.
But was it all right for the agency to do that at this point in time, 9 days or 10 days to a major election like the governorship election of a state?
You see, the state resources is not meant to do political work, for goodness sake.
Yes, but what about salaries and other things?
We cannot, reduce state resources, whether federal resources, whether state resources, whether local government resources. For goodness sake, if the money is meant to run the state, it's a different thing not to use it because you are going to do elections, so you use the money from the state to do political work.
No, sorry, let me come in. That's not what I meant. What I meant is there are salaries to be paid. Everybody knows that the performance of a governor tells on his re-election or rejection.
You see,
in this case, if you do this and he's not able to pay salaries, he's not able to meet with state obligations, would that not raise the people against him?
Has Ocean State told you that the particular account that was blocked was for salary? There are a number of accounts the Ocean State government has. You understand? So this particular one, if there are suspicion, EFCC is given that responsibility, that mandate, to ensure that it prevents the money from taken out. Not when the money is taken and stolen and then you start struggling to recover the money. That is not what it's supposed to do. What I'm saying is that even the Ocean State government did not tell you that what EFCC has stopped, the account they stopped, it was for salaries and what have you. If they say so, if it was the case, they would have said it. So I think we need to differentiate.
Yes.
Listen, we need to differentiate, certain things. State money, it is not for politicians to do politics with it. That's why we are talking about ensuring that we strengthen our institutions. You cannot simply because you are doing election in state or local government or federal level, then the state resources will now be used for the president or for the governor or for the local government.
But that was an allegation. It has not been proved that the state was doing that. It was an allegation by EFCC.
Listen, if you don't want EFCC to do its work, you can probably scrap the organization if you don't want them to do the work that you have asked them to do. All I'm saying, I'm not saying that everything that is done must completely be correct. But I'm saying that the EFCC has a mandate, has a responsibility. They were charged to do this, and their part of their responsibility is to prevent suspicious money. That is why you see, even if you get money from inflow, they can even ask the bank to stop the money if there is a
Correct.
suspicion.
Because what I
You
know is that when there is an unusual movement of money,
that is exactly
it
what they have
triggers off the
established.
system, including what we have set up with the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. It sends a trigger, and the anti-corruption agencies will look in, and if they have some reasonable doubts about the legality of such transactions, they will now take the steps they have taken, which is what the EFCC did, backed by a court order. But the issue Uju is raising is that since in recent time, the 3 state governments' accounts have been frozen by the EFCC. All 3 state governments under the opposition. We had that of Samuel Otom in Benue State. A week after he left the APC for the PDP, we had Godwin Obaseki of Edo State a few days before the election. And now we had Oshun under Accord Party a few days before the election. The question is, yes, the FCC is doing legitimate work, but when it's targeted or when it's only the opposition members that are being looked at, it throws up a lot of issues.
Amechi, you see, if we continue with this narrative, I'm telling you, we are then not ready as a country to be, fighting corruption. Look, we all know that these agencies, they have mandate and they are supposed to work responsibly for the national interest. If you see EFCC or ICPC has done something that you think it is contrary to the law establishing them, you have opportunity to go to court. Right? If you go to court, the court will now decide and determine whether the action they have done is in accordance with the rule of law.
Which is what Osun State government has done.
But now, to capitalize, and who told you that the presidency did not plot this in? Who told you? This is political session.
It could be denial.
Listen,
wash your hands off.
Wait now. This is a political period, and you know how desperate even the ruling party is to take over Osun. Who told you that there might not be some games? So please,
What type of games are you?
To even do this thing so that there will be like a kind of pressing, like now, you guys, you are now pressing the president that he has done wonderful by attacking EFCC, condemning them, that their action is not timely. Look, when will the fight against corruption timely be? Look, we have to be very serious.
But
if we want to build institutions and fight corruption and prevent corruption from happening, let us allow agencies that establish them to do their work. If they do anything contrary to that, there's a court. But to come and politicize the thing, demoralize them, make them even vulnerable now. Let me tell you, with what they have done now, with what government have done, EFCC will continue to be attacked for saving the nation.
The FCC and attacks are coming from all
It is not proper. It's not wise. What the president has done, in my opinion, is not good for our institutions. It's not good for the anti-corruption. It's not good for even safety of the people that they have done. He could have simply, even quietly, if at all he must be involved, there are better way to...
Like you said, through the Attorney General.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is that the president wanted to take the glory.
It's political. Tinubu, is a master strategist on this. So you cannot take away that from him. So now you have now created... the situation has now created that, he's a good Democrat. He wants democracy.
But exposed on the belly of the
But at the same time, undermining the agencies that are working very day and night, risking their life. Nobody in EFCC, including the EFCC chairman, ICPC Code of Conduct, have life insurance. They have been attacked, bullied, even people who are encouraging them to do their work. Look, please, let's be serious about fight against corruption. If we want to fight against corruption, allow the institutions that the law establish. If there are any aberration, if there are any wrongdoing, go to court, call them to order. Has the president called the EFCC chairman to say, why did you take this action? Why must it be on television? Why must it be in media? There are better ways to communicate this.
But maybe there were some actions that took place before he came up with the directive.
With this that has happened, there will be political interferences, direct control on what goes on with the anti-corruption agencies. Already Nigerians who have been suspecting that were going on. Now, with what the president has done, it has opened a window of opportunity. Even some people would now call, in the name of even the president to say, don't do this. or stop on this. There's implication on this. All I'm saying is that EFCC has been given responsibility, has been given mandate to do its work. If in the course of doing their work, if there are things that they have done wrong, people can go to court to challenge them, but not to use political tools to depress them, undermine them, make them vulnerable. Because politicians, before you know, if they see any EFCC operative, they can organize and start attacking them. That is not what should be. Look, we need to build institutions
like in
that will do
Oshuna,
work.
when EFCC usually sends the officials to prevent vote buying, they become exposed to angry mobs.
Now, do you think any anti-corruption can go to any place now to do things? Because they have already been, disregarded. In fact, they have already been exposed to risks.
I do not think it's that.
That's what you are thinking, because politicians,
in the long term,
politicians are capable of doing anything. They will capitalize on this. Even some, let me tell you, even some, cases that are in EFCC now. With what the president has done, they can even go and lobby, because he's a politician. Anything that will give him publicity, he would simply tell them, don't do this case, stop this case. And that's danger.
But let me ask you this question. There's this perception that these institutions are supposed to be neutral, independent in their actions. But there's this perception that there is external interference. And then when you now see politically exposed people being appointed into those positions, how will they be neutral?
Wait, are you not aware that several number of people that EFCC were investigating were given appointment? Are you not aware that the Senate President has a case that is not closed in EFCC? Are you not aware that some governors, some ministers, some powerful people in the political corridor,
senators,
and even some senators, are you not aware that they still have a live cases and yet they are given appointment? Look, this is why I'm saying that we need to separate this. Countries within Nigeria, within Africa, when you are having a political, a corruption case, they don't just close the case and give you appointment. That is undermining the whole process. If you are under investigation, wait, exercise patience, let your investigation be concluded, let your case be closed before you are given appointment. But President Tinubu, in his wisdom, people that are currently under investigation, he has decided to work with them. So, do you think that will boost the morale of anti-corruption? Look, everywhere in the world, they are laughing at us.
Who is undergoing trial, is running for Senate, but based on the fact that the principle of presumption of innocence.
Listen, whatever you say, if there's a political integrity and there's a political dignity, when you know you have a case like this, you will not even come forward. What you will do is to struggle to clear your name, to make sure that the allegation against you are not actually substantiated and that the court cleared you from everything. Then you can go and buy for anything, including even the presidency if you want. But not under heavy investigation. The time had been spent, to investigate cases, and then the next thing, even after they have concluded and they call jail you for political consideration, you are now giving pardon.
What if Yahaya Bello wins the senatorial seats? The case is still alive in the court, and he becomes the Senate Committee Chairman on Anti-Corruption.
Has the Senator Akpabio not become the Senate President?
At least his case is not in court.
But do you know how much investigation that has been going on with the evidences of wrongdoing? Look, let us not do painting. Look, if we need to make up our mind that we are interested in strengthening our institutions and in strengthening democracy and fight against corruption. What the EFCC is doing is law that allow it to work, to do. They did not do any illegal thing.
The president acknowledged that.
So if they have not done illegal, why are you politically bullying them, socially demoralizing them? You are exposing them to as if they have committed a crime.
But
Look,
do you
there's no
know-
time, Uju, there's no time to investigate corruption or not to investigate corruption. Allow the anti-corruption agencies that you have confidence on them. Why did he appoint the EFCC
So to-
leadership?
No,
No,
do
no,
you
but do
reinforce
you know
what you
that
said?
a lot of Nigerians were depressed yesterday
Of
when
timing.
yes,
Yes,
about the
it will be
timing.
difficult
and
to
because
remove
the
the
election is
issue
very,
of
very close.
timing
A lot of
in this
Nigerians were
election.
not
You see,
happy.
because
Because
very
we have
difficult.
to reorientate and decolonize our brains. Why should the state resources be meant to do political work? They did not stop salary. They did not stop projects that are genuine, that are doing money that they are suspected that it is going to be used for political work. That's what they blocked.
So what I heard was that from that account, the Osun State government announced a salary award of, is it 20,000 for civil servants? Same way federal government has been giving wage award, and they were hoping to make that payment from that account that was restricted.
Amechi, you don't work in EFCC and you don't work in the NFIU and you don't work in the bank. So leave politicians. If they have any growth, if they have any genuine reason, let them meet EFCC in the courts. Let's follow this into due process. If you stop EFCC from doing its work, you now promote politician. The wonder, you will see more wonders in this country. All I'm saying is that I did not say that every action that has been taken 100% is correct. But all I'm saying is that you must not also demoralize.
I understand what
discourage.
you're saying perfectly, that we must protect EFCC as an institution.
Exactly.
We appear to be clapping for the president in the immediate term, in the long term. These are ways you erode institution, because anybody investigates EFCC will say, I will reach the president.
So
and EFCC
if the
will
president
be
can do this
constrained.
for Ocean,
Yes.
for the governor, that he found very, very competitive person, and another ruling party state that is going to do the same thing. If EFCC takes action, probably they will be sacked. They will sack them. If they touch anybody, then if we can
For
go.
For
emphasis.
these reasons that you have given, do you think that's part of why we've not had very high-profile convictions in this country?
In Nigeria, let me tell you, the people, the politically exposed persons, they have amassed illegal wealth that if you take them to court, EFCC, ICPC Code of Conduct probably will come with maybe 2 or 3 sons. This one, they will come with dozens of sons because there's a loose money, you understand? There's a money that is illegal money, and these guys are doing what? Look, the wickedness you are seeing in this country from the political actors is too much. We cannot be siding people who are destroying and stealing people, this thing. Every state you go in Nigeria, you see these challenges going on. And then you want to say it is political. What's political? Then if you don't want EFCC, ICPC, then simply, abrogate them.
So what you have said just before Abdeba Abore comes in is, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice oversights the EFCC.
Exactly.
In the past, EFCC cases have been ongoing. He will just file a nolle prosecute, end this matter, and that's once the court receives it, that's the end of the matter. So what you're saying is that the president should have asked the Attorney General to use that process and not to directly intervene.
In fact, ask for clarification, not even question the action that they have done, if they have not done anything wrong. You can seek for clarification, but to come and directly direct the affairs and then, make them look like they have committed crime, I don't think it is fair. I don't think it is proper. I don't think it is the way to go, about, fighting corruption or ensuring that, justice is done.
Let me ask you. You'll be talking about allowing these agencies to do their job. Me, I'm worried about the appointment of these people. They are supposed to be independent. They are supposed to act without seeking opinion of people within the laws setting them up. When you have people with political interests starting with the responsibility of appointing these people, whether ICPC, whether INEC, whether EFCC, it definitely means that they will pick their favorites to be there. Is there a way that these laws can be amended in such a way that power will be taken away from politically exposed people, including the president,
including oversight of anti-corruption agencies by the Minister of Justice?
So when we talk about restructuring of Nigeria, people think that maybe we're crazy. But there's no way you will continue with status quo and run a country that is responsive and responsible, transparent, accountable, and you benefit from democratic dividends. There's no way with the current political structure and current political arrangement is not going to work, because it is more of the president will appoint whoever he wishes to appoint, and that person will find it difficult sometimes to do things that the president. But in other countries, that is not the case. I am telling you, in South Africa, even though some Nigerians, they think that South Africa should not be discussed, but they have a system that corrupt people, no matter how highly placed you are subjected to, constitutional order. In Nigeria, if you belong to a ruling party, one of the former governor, and now he's a senator, he even openly, no shame, and he has not withdrawn it, that commit any crime, come to our party, you are forgiven. And that's what
he had clarified it and said he never said it, to be fair to
but when it is already on
that was misinterpreted. That's what he
misinterpreted,
So what did he mean?
then he should withdraw it. We say it openly. People who watch it and saw it and read it and hear it. So please, let's not go to that.
Yes.
They always deny things.
Just to represent him well. He said it was misinterpreted.
Misinterpreted.
How do you
He should come
misinterpret
and
something that was
withdraw
direct?
the misinterpretation or whatever he said. All I'm saying is that we have seen it not only from him, but from so many things. Some people are leaving their party to come to the ruling party because they have looted, and they see that EFCC is actually, working toward retrieving that money. So they come to a safe haven.
Correct.
This is what we are seeing. So when you have this political appointment, they even call it political appointment. When you do that, sometimes you buy the appointment, because there are so many allegations that people pay bribe to be appointed. And I expected the president to even speak on this one. In fact, I would have been more impressed with the president if the president said that, look, all those allegations, all those things that people are saying that they pay money for me to give them appointment. I did not receive money from anybody, and I did not encourage anybody to do that. And if we catch anybody, we will, prosecute that person. I would have saluted the president for such kind of thing. But his action now is purely political, demoralizing, and creating vulnerability for the people that are already giving their life. Like I said, the only way to cure this thing is when you have agencies, institutions that will be settled. For example, Constitution says don't appoint CAD-CREM members as ANEC commissioners.
But we have people that have...
That's what I'm telling you. So the way to cure this is to take that responsibility to say, look, anybody who is interested, I was in the US just 2 weeks ago. I came back 2 weeks ago. We went to a state in Texas, El Paso. Do you know that even Attorney General there, it is a public that put you there.
Yes, so
you
that's
are
what I'm
accountable.
saying. Should we continue to allow our Attorney General to oversight EFCC?
So,
a politician.
So if you remember, we have been advocating for the separation of the office of Minister of Justice and Attorney General, because you cannot have politician minding or running the two places, because political interest will come as against professionalism and the ethics that will even come with that. So that's why I'm talking about restructuring.
Okay.
You know, if you restructure some of those things, you will have a system that is fair, that is responsive, that is responsible, that is
The
accountable.
Attorney General, who's a professional, career professional, would work with the anti-corruption agencies, while the Minister of Justice, the
He will do
politician,
his,
advises because the chief law officer to the
Exactly.
president.
So if you then separate that, you will continue to see this mix up. But it's not only that one. There are a number of issues that require fundamental structuring in Nigeria. Some people, their own structuring is when they took power, then the structuring has stopped. That is why you see there's so many people who in the past were talking about restructuring Nigeria. They are no longer talking about restructuring now.
Now they're in power.
They all kept quiet.
Our agreement was that we leave you because of the engagements you have.
Yes, I have engagement with a,
Yes.
with a IGP with some other colleagues. So I'm going to meet with the
Okay.
Inspector General
One
of Police.
word on one perspective on the submission of that internal report on the phantom presidential council by the ICPC.
Well, ICPC has done its own work, and Nigerians, they have formed their own opinion about it. But personally, to me, all the people that were involved, from the DG budget to the office of to the Accountant General, to the staff in the central bank that facilitated the opening of the bank, to the person who facilitated the opening of the office in Federal Secretariat, to the committees in the National Assembly, appropriation in the Senate and the House of Rep, as well as the principal officers in the National Assembly, they all have to take responsibility. It cannot be reduced to only Adeyemi. It is a national shame, it is a national scam, and that people should apologize to the nation for their involvement. You cannot just punish Adeyemi alone. He did not act alone. He acted with all these people. And when you already, the presidency had already cleared one of the suspects in the presidency. So what ICPC has done is to concur with what had happened already. So as far as I'm concerned, there are multiple number of persons who have committed, wrong for Nigerian state. Our respect, our integrity is called to caution now. Countries will find it difficult to relate with you now because they don't know who they are relating with.
Exactly.
That is the damage they have done. They have done incredible damage to our country. So rather than the kind of funny investigation that even the House of Rep is doing, looking at the perjury letter, they should do fundamental thing and in fact take action that will restore our image, integrity and credibility in the eyes of everyone in the world. What they are doing is micromanaging the scene, and that will not take away the kind of disrespect that this action has caused Nigeria. We are calling on the government and the President Tinubu to close his eyes, allow proper, thorough sanction on all the people that were involved. I repeat, DG Budget, who, also facilitated the insertion of the budget for that agency, cannot be spared.
Exonerated, yes.
Accountant General who cleared the CBN to open the account cannot be exonerated. The CBN people that have also done, and even the head of service, who later now say she acted based on information she had. Look, all these things, all these people.
Part of the problem is
they
that
are all involved, Yes.
Yes.
So EFCC, ICPC cannot reduce its punishment to only Adeyemi.
Yes.
If we want to be fair, if we want to be honest.
So the ICPC report had identified loopholes, which is said this person indeed exploited and have recommended sanctions. Thus, these people you have mentioned, the Accountant General, there were explanations they offered. The head of service at the House of Representatives hearing about how they tried to do their best, but perhaps their best was not enough.
Amechi, please, let's not be carried away by all this justification that people are doing to make sure that they exonerate themselves when they are actually facilitated the process. If you want to punish Adeyemi, punish all of them.
Exactly.
If you don't want to punish Adeyemi, if you don't want to punish them, so there's no reason to punish only one person.
Okay. We'll just hope, like you said, that the president will allow the ICPC to continue. This is just a preliminary report. A full report will come after extensive investigations have been concluded, and they say they're still investigating even bank accounts of collaborators and all that. We have to let you go now. Thank you so much, Awa.
Thank you very much.
Rafsanjani, Head of Transparency International Nigeria, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
As he gets us to leave the studio, let's go for a break, give you excerpts of the presentation of that internal report by the ICPC chairman to the president on Thursday.
We have discovered, and it has been established, that Adeyemi Matthew was never appointed by the federal government or any authority of government. And the appointment letter presented by Adeyemi Matthew was completely forged alongside similar documents used to perpetuate the illegal activities of the fake agency. 2 other fake government agencies, namely FCT, Investment Promotion Agency, with acronym FIFA, and Foreign Investment Promotion Agency and Public-Private Partnership, PIPA-PPP. To facilitate the creation of the additional 2 fake agencies, he used forged legislative instruments styled as enabling acts and using them to support opening of bank accounts. Because we discovered that he has opened 2 bank accounts in a commercial bank, which he went to use in these illegal activities. We discovered that there was any weaknesses were found in the system of the State House and CBN in our own investigation. And also the fake appointment letter of Adeyemi Matthew did not originate from the presidency. Some of the recommendations which we have submitted to Mr. President, one is that Mr. Adeyemi should be prosecuted. 2, administrative sanctions be imposed on public officers whose acts of omission and negligence facilitated the illegal operation of PFIPC/PEAC.
Yes, you heard from the ICPC chairman.
I think I agree perfectly with Rafsanjani that it's not, if heads will roll, it's not only Adeyemi. For instance, it became clear from the report of ICPC that even Federal Road Safety Commission gave them such a number to use on their vehicles. So what facilitated all this was that is the craziness, the laziness to do due diligence on whatever you are doing. And so all the agencies of government that one way or the other were involved with this Adeyemi scandal, more heads must roll. For me, that is where I feel heads must roll. You cannot just gloss over it. Administrative warning or will not rectify the damage. It's the only thing that will rectify the damage. You have participated in promoting forgery and in promoting fraud, in promoting act of insanity in governance. That's the way I look at it. So those who have their hands in it, heads must roll.
Well, Rafsanjani captured it very well. You know, a lot of questions are still pending that have not really been answered, and one of them is contained in one of our mails, which we are going to read at the right time. It is still not quite clear how a man could hoodwink even people who are supposed to be core professionals, you know, in the civil service, and then get to where Adeyemi got without complicity. Like Ayo Bodunri said, is either they were too lazy to do due diligence, or we have this penchant in this country, we have this penchant to try to do illegal deals because we believe that we can do it and get away with it. And, you know, a lot of people may not notice, or if they notice, you just settle everybody and it passes. I see a kind of settlement agreement in this issue, and all of them must answer. They must all be prosecuted and brought to book.
I believe there are things investigations cannot uncover. If you put your ears to the ground, there are things you hear. And it's all about the nature of society we have built and we have evolved. And it must take our society away from that direction to one that is responsive, responsible, and very accountable. We have a lot of work to do in cleaning up our society beyond roles, functions, and all that. There are things that have become part of our society that makes even public servants hamstrung. Make those in elective offices hamstrung.
Exactly.
They see what they can do, but they can't do them because of certain consideration. I don't want to open up so much, but these things exist. I'm not concerned.
And they do it and get away with it.
I'm not concerned about the punishment, let's heads roll. If it's necessary, let it happen. But I'm more concerned about using this opportunity to strengthen our systems, strengthen our institutions. The relationships that you have, the structure and role of governance, starting from the presidential villa. Yes, starting from the presidential villa, the structure of offices, the relationship, down to the public service, down to citizens. We must restructure them in such taking advantage of this very sad development, this very controversial development, to strengthen. That, for me, is what I should devote more of my attention.
You know, the ICPC said it also discovered some other agencies, and that means that this thing has been happening for a very, very long time. Where is the conscience of a nation? Where is the conscience of people involved in this kind of nefarious activities towards a country that needs that needs their services, towards a country that everybody should, collaborate to move Nigeria forward in terms of development?
Absolutely. And we have to remove body language from our governance structure. Body language do so much damage. When people read body language, public servants do, everybody, actions that are supposed to be taken, they pull back. You don't know what the outcome will be. So we must evolve a society that is guided by laws, guided by due process. Late President Yar'Adua said, lack of due process was a cardinal problem of our country. Unfortunately, it wasn't alive to restructure the country, to reform our country in such a way that the rule of law with all its cardinal principles operate. You're equal before the law. All the four cardinal principles. We must remove all those things that negate those principles and bring in other sentiments.
Let me also... Okay, maybe after
under President Jonathan, a committee was set up to look into the structure of government. It recommended far-reaching recommendations were made. Successive government after that keep on saying that they will implement it. Up to today. In fact, this administration also set up a committee that report should be revisited and it must be implemented. So if that restructuring has taken place, the loopholes in creating more agencies will have been plugged.
I think we should look beyond this. That this is the time for Nigeria to begin to elect leaders, credible leaders, leaders with integrity, because you talked about body language, and that body language has been the bane of some of the very ills that we are suffering in our society today. Because people know if they do this thing, they will get away with it. Baba is there to cover me. This one is there. Even he has his own baggage, I'm not talking about any single person right now. So we need to begin to elect credible leaders with integrity. Leaders that even when people know that they are there, they are on that seat, they're in that position, they will be deterred from carrying out certain nefarious activities. Until we begin to elect leaders, to appoint and to choose leaders with integrity, not people with bad body language. We still have a long way to go, but we need to do that. That's the only way we can clean up. If not, a bad leader will seek to cover up his cronies, will seek to cover up his boys
Okay.
or people in the society. And you cannot really fight corruption with that. You cannot really get the kind of justice
Yes.
that the country
The
needs.
body language I'm referring to, if, for instance, the son of the president violates a traffic law, how can security operatives
Arrest him.
discipline
Exactly.
the person? You know, in Nigeria, it's not possible. So that's what I'm saying. When you see a letter from the State House signed by the chief of staff, not many will dare try to investigate. Not many will dare try to see what the outcome. Everybody will
Or to
just
even try to
as
investigate if
if we
it's
are held
false.
down by those in authority that are monarchs. Everything they do is right. But where in a society where institutions work, even if it's the wife of the president, you do your work. So that's why I'm insisting we must organize our society in such a way that the law works and not based on sentiments.
And
Let's
only
share-
men of integrity will make the
Absolutely.
law to work.
Let's share some of the mails you have sent to us.
Yes, this one is from Agunsiomu Ugochukwu. He sent it in from Lagos, and it says, the president's directive to EFCC to unfreeze Osun government account amidst a court order is legally and ethically wrong. He's trying to save face following media outcry about the timing. There's no better time to do what is right. It's an interference with the rule of law and a breach of public trust. This shows that institutions of government cannot operate independently and has laid bare the assertion that government has immense powers to prosecute or not to prosecute someone alleged to have committed a crime. This selective bias is an abuse of power and has to stop. Investigators and police should not be influenced to do their work. This is why corruption is thriving. President Tinubu scored an own goal because he wants to be nice by playing to the gallery. Comrade Mandiame from Abuja says, the news of the safe rescue of the kidnapped innocent Nigerians in Kwara and Niger states by the combined efforts of our security agents is commendable and very cheering. To God be the glory. I commend our gallant security agents for their relentless efforts in this regard and urge them to intensify measures to ensure early release of innocent school children of Musa Primary and Junior Secondary School in Askira-Uba local government area of Borno State and other abducted victims across the country unharmed. Kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all those who worked assiduously behind the scenes to ensure the safe rescue of the abductees. Government should provide a post-psychological therapy for them before reuniting them with their families and guardians because of the trauma they went through while in captivity. Kudos to our gallant troops for the ongoing successes recorded against insecurity. They should keep at it. And Emmanuel Ede from Madala in Niger State sent our next mail, says, may I use this medium to appeal to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and National Assembly to graciously shift the date for the forthcoming presidential elections, slated for 16th January 2027. This is because so many people who traveled for Christmas and the New Year holidays may not have returned to their base before the elections. Therefore, if this concern is not well handled, then so many people may be disenfranchised. And Bash Kanabe from Ivukwe, Edo State says, I just read the news that the ICPC has cleared the Chief of Staff to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, of any involvement in the alleged illegal agency headed by Mr. Adeyemi, stating that the appointment letter was forged. Mr. Adeyemi may have forged the State House letterhead and signatures and issued himself an appointment. But the bigger questions remain. Did he also open the agency's CBN account by himself? Did he allocate office space to himself in the Federal Secretariat? Did he single-handedly secure a budget line for the agency in Nigeria's national budget? The answers to these questions will help reveal what truly happened behind the scenes.
Thank you so much for the mails. Chizoba Woke is also suggesting that we should elect EFCC chairman, INEC chairman, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria rather than being appointed by certain powers as a way of guaranteeing their independence. Thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Amechi Anapwe. Have a good time.
AIT, sharing the African experience.